everyone, I'm Ericka Sallee. Welcome back to my channel. I'm the owner of True Synergy. I help women and organizations to move the barriers that block their success. And so if that is something that you're interested in continuing to hear more about, I encourage you to go ahead, subscribe to this channel, share it out, and then turn those notifications on so that you are in the know when new videos are uploaded. So the topic for today is 4 steps to managing your personal growth. Now, if you see behind me, this is an aloe plant. I'm telling you, this plant was given to me by my cousin, okay? So when she gave it to me, there was just a small piece, which I think was a portion right here, which I think is the mother, that she had in a baggie. It was wrapped up in a paper towel in this freezer bag. Just want to show you just how tiny this plant was when I first received it. And so she gave me some very specific instructions. For those of you who don't know me, let me just tell you, I am not the one who has the greenest thumb. I have 2 plants, actually 3, including the aloe plants in my home that I can manage because they're low maintenance. So when she gave it to me, she gave me very specific instructions. She said, put it in some dirt, water it once a week, and make sure that it gets lots of sunlight. So typically I keep this in my sunroom because it does get the light that it needs, but I had to bring it in here because I really wanted you to see how this thing has grown and is still growing. There's so many little baby pieces in here. So I followed her instruction, put it in this pot, and I watered it once a week, And so as I kept looking at it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this thing is just growing and expanding outside of the pot that I originally put it in. And so as I started thinking about that, I'm like, we are much like this aloe plant. And I wanted to give you like 4 specific steps to just get us to think about, well, when we talk about or think about personal growth for ourselves, then how does that need to look, and then how do we grow along with it as we start to expand in new ideas and new thoughts and new things that we're doing for ourselves. So here's the first thing, and I had to just write these down because I really wanted to make sure that I give it to you straight. And so if you're taking notes, I do encourage you to write these things down. If you're driving and you can't, then I do recommend that you make a note to come back to this video so that you can write down these 4 steps that I'm going to share with you. So the first step is, my cousin actually gave me the aloe plant. So the first step in managing your personal growth is accepting that we all have gifts, right? That we've been given a gift, or in some cases, multiple gifts for us to share with the world. I want to say that again. The gifts that we've been given are intended for us not to just sit back and enjoy for ourselves, but to share it out. So the first step is to, yes, accept that we've been given a gift. So thank you to my cousin Sheila for sharing this with me so that I can share this with you. So the second step is that she gave me specific instructions on how to care for the aloe plant. She told me, make sure that you water it once a week, put it in a pot, and then put it in some sunlight. And so our responsibility when it comes to managing our personal growth is to be able to nurture it. Nurture that gift. Nurture the things that we've been given. Nurture that thing that you do and you do so well. Well, what does nurturing look like? Well, it might look like more information, more education. Maybe there's something that but if you know a little bit more, it can help you to even grow even further into that gift because you've studied, you're connecting with new people, you're reading information, maybe you're listening to things and connecting yourself with organizations and groups to help you expand that gift. So the second step is, yes, to be able to nurture it. If I did not water this plant as instructed, if I had not put it in some dirt, and if I didn't put it in the place where she said it would get the maximum sunlight, which this plant requires, some don't. If I did not do that, I can only imagine that I would have lots of dead pieces inside of this pot that I have to pull off. Perhaps the entire plant would not have survived. So being able to nurture the gift that you've been given is very important and is a big, big step in the continual growth that you and I both deserve. So here's step number 3. So the plant is growing like wildfire. I told you that when she gave it to me, this is what it was in. Now, if you look behind me, you see that it is expanding far beyond this pot. Okay, so when you are following the instructions to nurture that gift and it begins to grow, then that means that I have to put this in a bigger pot. Like, there's no way that I can keep this in the size pot that it's in right now, because it will stifle the growth and it probably will begin to die off if I do not transfer this plant into a new pot with fresh dirt so that it has room to expand. And so that means for us, step number 3 says that when you begin to grow outside of what is familiar and what's comfortable, you have to be willing to shift into something new. You have to be willing to move into the space that's going to allow you to grow and to utilize that gift or those gifts that you have. So you might say, well, what does that mean? Well, one of the things that comes to mind first is that sometimes in order for us to grow, we have to detach ourselves from people who are not willing to grow for themselves and who may not necessarily support our growth. Let me see if I can say that again. When we are beginning to expand, when we're coming into this new space of discovering what we enjoy, what feels good for us, how can I utilize my gifts even more so that I can be a bigger blessing to those that this gift is intended for, then that might mean that we have to detach ourselves from people who are not growing for themselves and who are not in support of or who do not understand our growth. Now, that doesn't mean that you're going to totally push people to the side and, not have anything to do with, say, your old crowd. Now, there's a couple of ways to look at that. You might have to totally detach if that energy is not good for you and your growth, or you may limit your connections with people just based on the fact that you still have people that you love, you still have people that you care about. Their misunderstanding of what you're trying to do or how you're expanding yourself doesn't necessarily mean that they don't love you. It just means that you have to guard the energy and the time that you invest in those people, okay? So that might mean how do you expand and change your pot with new soil, so to speak. It also might mean that maybe there's places that you decide, you know what, this is not a good fit for me anymore. Because of the things that I'm doing and how I want to move and how I want to use this gift, then growing outside of my pot and my soil might mean that you're starting to take up some new hobbies, that you're starting to go to new places, that you're starting to discover new adventures. And so that might be stepping outside of the things that you're used to doing, and that supports your growth. So that's the third thing, that if you notice that, your skills and your passion for these gifts is growing like wildfire, then that just might mean that you have to change the pot, change the soil, go to new places, put your feet in different areas so that that supports your growth. And then here is the last of the 4 steps. So now that my aloe is growing like a wildfire, like literally, you can't even see inside of the pot. There's so many little baby pieces and so many other pockets of growth that now what I have to do with this gift that was given to me initially is I have to share it out. I said this in the beginning and it's coming full circle, that now I have to take this gift and I have to share it with other people. So when you are managing your personal growth, when you see that, you know what, oh my gosh, I'm really honing this skill, I'm really walking in this gift and I feel fulfilled and purposeful with it, then it's not something to hold on to. It means that now we get to share it. Now we get to give it out. Let's say the baker who knows that his or her gift is that they make amazing desserts. And they've been given this gift. That's step number one. And then secondly, they nurture it and they water it. They go to culinary school and they learn how to do different types of pastries and all kinds of desserts. So that's the second part. The third part is like, oh my gosh, that means that they then have to change the soil. So maybe that means, in the evenings, instead of doing some of the things with hanging out with family, friends, they've got to go to pastry school. And I know there's a more diplomatic way to refer to pastry school. I'm probably not saying it correctly, but I think you get where I'm going with this. So then the last thing is, well, if you've done all this, you've nurtured it, you've grown, and you've crafted your skill, then why hold on to it? There's a bakery or there's a client who's going to want what you have to offer. So now you get to share it out. Okay, so the 4 steps of managing your personal growth, I'm going to go through those really quickly again, just so that you get it. I really want you to grab a hold of this and apply it to your gift. So first is understanding that yes, we have all been given a gift or multiple gifts. There's something on the inside of us that I do believe the Creator has blessed us with. So yes, that's number 1. Number 2, it is our responsibility to nurture that gift, to help ourselves to grow in the gift so that we learn more, so that we understand more. Third, understanding that, okay, once we do that, then we may have to expand our territory. We may have to move out of the places that are most comfortable for us, step outside of the comfort zone so that we can grow into the gift and continue to expand. And then last is to ensure that we then share it out. Who is your gift intended to bless? Who are you intended to serve with your gift? That's the 4th and final step of managing your growth. And then of course it's a cycle. You can start it all over again. So I just wanted to share that with you. Now I got to find some people to give away my gift to, this aloe plant right here, and I continue to share my gift with you here, so that if there's something that you want to find out more about in terms of, well, how do I even figure out what that looks like for myself? Where do I start? How do I navigate through this conversation of being a barrier breaker and transforming my life into the best version of myself that I can be? Well, I encourage you to go to my website, True Synergy, TRUSYNERGY.org. Go ahead and schedule a consultation. All it takes is 30 minutes to have a brief conversation about something that can be major and transformative in your life. So if that is you, then yes, go ahead and visit my website. Let's have that conversation right now. So on that note, I look forward to seeing you very, very soon. Until I do, I want you to take care of yourselves, be well, and remember, transformation begins when you and I break barriers to create our true synergy, the very best and the essence of who we were intended to be. See you next time.